very first thing I like to do when I come in is do this exercise I learned from a guy named Bill Hartman. And it starts with my left hand up and my left thumb up and my right thumb down and my right hand down. And what I do is I simply cross my arms over like that and then take them back down. So I'm opening up my chest and then I'm bringing my shoulder blades apart at the back. Just going like that, squeezing the shoulder blades together, taking them apart while opening my chest. And so I'll do that for about 12 or 15 per side, switch hand positions, and repeat for the other side. So that's the very first thing that I do when I come in. And what you're going to see me do from now on is pretty much go from an upper body to a lower body warm-up, alternating back and forth. And so I'll go from that into just a basic body weight squat, pushing my hips back and down and coming up. Even when I'm training upper body, I'll still do the body weight squat. Just a way to get mentally into the workout. If you're coming in from the cold, like sometimes I am here in Toronto in the wintertime, I'm going to want to do a little extra warm-up. Or if I'm sitting at my desk too long, I really want to get going. After that, I'm going to take this foam roller, which is a really dense foam roller. It's denser than normal. And I'm just going to do upper back rolling on it. So I'll get down, put the meat of my upper back in between there, hands up, and I'll do about 10 rolls this way. And then I'll do 10 where I open up at the back here. Now for me, I do that because I've always had a bit of problems with my upper thoracic spine, which is way up here. And I often get that adjusted when I go to a chiropractor. And it might be because of the forward posture, or it might be because of injuries from days gone by from lifting, but I always make sure that I roll the muscles in that area as well as opening up the chest and compressing the thoracic spine at the back. So that's what I'll do there, and then I'll come back up and I'll move into a prisoner forward lunge. So again, it opens up the chest and we do step forward and down, moving forward, and at the bottom here I'm getting a stretch in the hip flexor area, but also warming up my legs in the lunge. So I'll go about 8 steps forward, and then I'll come back and I'll do about 8 reps for each side, stretching through here. After that, I'm going to go right into a static stretch for my chest. So again, because of years of bench pressing, have had issues where I need some soft tissue therapy, ART, active release techniques on my pecs, and so I just stretch, open up my chest, and stretch that tissue. And so I'll hold that stretch for 20 seconds. I'll do the other side as well. And then I'll go from that into something that allows me to stretch my hip flexors. So I do a few static stretches, mostly for really old trouble spots on my body. So I've got a hip flexor stretch, take that hand above the head and lean back and over, and it really opens up a stretch in through this area down here, which is a problem spot for people like me who sit at a desk a lot or who drive a lot. So it's pretty basic warm-up so far, and it is, I do spend about 10 to 15 minutes warming up before every workout. So after that, if I'm going to do lower body training and jump training, I'll just do some jumping jacks next. And I'm slightly warmed up. Or if I'm just doing some squats, I'll do duck unders. This is really good for the hip mobility. Just like that. Or I might do prisoner squats if I'm doing upper body. So I want to work a little bit more on my upper back and get that area blood flow because I'm squeezing those muscles together. So that's an option there. If I'm doing bench pressing, I'll do another upper body stretch where I change the position of my hand to stretch through the chest again. Now you've probably heard all these articles that say no static stretching before training. But listen, if you have limited range of motion, there's nothing wrong with doing static stretching before training. If you go and do some additional warm-up stuff like medicine ball throws before you do your bench pressing, you're going to be fine. You're going to reactivate the nervous system even if you've quieted it down with the static stretching. So by now I'm feeling pretty good, but there's still one thing I have to hit in my upper body, and it is a very tight upper trap here on my left side. So I will hold this stretch, move my neck around a little bit until I feel where I'm getting the best stretch, and I'll stretch this side. I don't have any problems on this side, but I have limited range of motion on this side. So I'll stretch that one. After that, I may stretch my calves depending on how tight they are. Walking the dog, sometimes he pulls and I get these really tight calves from trying to pull the dog along. It's insane, but that's another specific area that I have to work on. In addition, I'm going to do something for my hamstrings. So I often do single leg swings. Because I've had a little bit of low back pain on this side, I have, as my chiropractor says, slightly messed up sacroiliac joint on the right hand side, and so he's recommended I make sure I do 15 to 20 leg swings, a couple sets of that before I do an workout involving squatting or deadlifting. So I'm always doing that, the leg swing. Even if I'm doing upper body, I pretty much do this just out of habit. Now I didn't bring my AccuBall, but I also have this little AccuBall that's about this big. You can also use a golf ball, and what I'll do is I'll lie down and put the ball underneath my glute, find a painful area, and just hold it on top, breathing and releasing the tension in that area. So I may do that before training if it's feeling bad in that area. So as you can see, there's a lot of individual specific stuff that I'm doing for myself. But what you really want to cover when you do a warm-up before training is you want to make sure you go through that general total body weight circuit. Instead of walking on a treadmill, it's not going to do you any good for lifting weights. So body weight squats, some type of upper back mobility movement. You might want to do stick-ups as well. I do that a lot now these days, especially before bench pressing. So stick-ups up against the wall. And you can see my shoulder mobility video on YouTube as well. In addition to that, then you're going to go and do some sort of single leg exercise, maybe a prisoner lunge, and then go into maybe a push-up warm-up, and then you're going to do any static stretching that you need to, and that's a minimal warm-up. And I'd probably do 2 circuits of that, and then you're going to move on into specific warm-up sets.